It's episode number 17 of the Felt Recoil podcast, and thanks for being here. And thanks, by the way, for all the subscriptions on the YouTube channels. It's pretty funny how quick that's kind of kicking up some steam there. Not that I'm upset about it, but we just surpassed 40 subscribers on the YouTube channel, and that's good because, like we talked about last time, that's a good way to support the program. Which brings us to another point. Welcome, by the way. This is number 17. I'm Chris. Across from me, the always present PMag, a.k.a. It's a Q. It's a Q.
Oh, me again?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hey, what's up, buddy?
You got to watch me for the Qs.
No, it's a podcast.
Yeah, it's a podcast.
I close my eyes.
So it feels real.
Yeah. I mean,
I got you.
I feel like a listener.
Trying to experience the illusion of it all. Well done, moron. All right, so welcome to. We made a lot of new friends and family on YouTube and the Facebooks and all the good social medias. So we're happy about that. It's growing a little bit every week. So that being said, we are also quickly approaching the 5,000th download mark. So, as we promised, we went today and purchased a lower receiver, and we have 2 Daniel Defense magazines, 32 rounders that we're going to send with it. And here is the way you can pick up, because I'm going to go ahead and suppose that we hit 5,000. We're going to go ahead and say, I know, right? Maybe
big head on your shoulders, buddy.
Counting the eggs before they hatch, but here's what's going to happen. So I'll just tell you this, a little behind the scenes, if you will, inside baseball. Obviously, we watch the average downloads per episode. We keep track of that kind of stuff. We tend to average, I think, per week, we average just under 500 downloads per week, okay? And that's where the growth has gotten us. It hasn't always been that way. But if you look back at a 6-week average, we're at just below 500. Right now, I think we need 323 downloads, something like that, to be at 5,000. So we're going to go ahead and say that by the time you hear this, we will be close enough to 5,000 to just go ahead and do the giveaway. We're anticipating and celebrating 5,000 downloads.
So we're just shy of 5,000 by 278 right now.
All right, so 278. So it could be Thursday PM, we hit 5,000 downloads. So here's what you're going to do if you would like a free. We have a Anderson lower. It's strip lower for your AR-15 build, or, I guess that applies either way. If you want to do a pistol, you can do a pistol with it. If you want to do a rifle, you do a rifle with it. Couple of caveats up front. Obviously, all applicable laws apply. So you're going to have to be 21 to win this prize. Keep that in mind. You can reside in pretty much any state as far as we know. Now, that being said, if we get involved, if you're in California or Massachusetts or Illinois, one of these crazy places, and you win, we will try and send it to you. But if we find out that we're not legally allowed, we'll contact you and we'll figure something out. We'll send you some free swag of some sort. But just know that we want to send you the lower if you win it, no matter where you win. But some laws might get in the way. I'm not real clear on it all.
If you want it bad enough, you could always move out of a blue state.
Yeah, I'll give you
make it easy on yourself.
Top 5 reasons to move to South Carolina. You ready? It's not California. It's not New York. It's not Massachusetts. It's not Chicago. Give me one more, Patty. Help me. Maryland. Not Baltimore. Thank you. Yeah, not Maryland. So there you go. There's your top 5 reasons to move to South Carolina. So just here's how you win the lower.
Time out real quick, though, before we get into all that.
Okay.
It's really funny, though, because we can see all the stats of where all the downloads are.
Big and...
We're really big in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Illinois is catching on. California is pretty big.
And don't forget Slovakia.
Huge in
Why
Slovakia.
are you leaving out Slovakia?
By the way, ITAR applies to this, so guys in Slovakia, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not going to be able to send it to you. Can't
guys,
send you the mags either.
What are you talking? I like to think it's some Eastern European beautiful swimsuit models of some sort that just sit around and indulge in the dulcet tones that we produce, ladies. But we know it's not.
Well, that was a stretch.
Anyway.
So back to the rules.
Back to the rules. If you would like the lower, here's how you win it, okay? Whatever social media platform you use, you can find us, Felt Recoil Show. The one exception is on the Snapchats. We got limited on characters, so we're just Felt Recoil on Snapchat. But everywhere else, it's Felt Recoil Show, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We are going to ask you to help spread some love about the Felt Recoil Show, this program that we're trying to grow organically through you. So get on your favorite social and post a picture of your dream rifle. Tag us in that, but also tag every company whose components you would use to build that rifle. So if you think, man, I would build an AR, I'd put a Trijicon ACOG on it, or I got to see the MRO Patrol. I keep messing up because, all right.
You're thinking Aim Point
Well,
Pro.
the Aim Point Pro is the Patrol Rifle Optic. And now you have the Trijicon MRO Patrol. So I
throwing you for all kinds of loops.
Keep conflating the two. All right. That is one awesome optic. Gonna run you about $700, but man, that thing's nice. So anyway, the point is, let's say that's what you want to do. I want to put an ACOG on it, and I'm going to use all Bravo Company furniture. Well, then you would tag Felt Recoil, and you'd say I would use a Bravo Company handguard, I would use a Daniel Defense buttstock, and I would use a Trijicon ACOG. We'll tag all those companies as well. Basically, what we're asking you to do is expose those big companies to the podcast, let them know that we're kind of including them in a roundabout way. We're going to pick our favorite. Our favorite isn't going to be based on the amount of tags. Our favorite isn't going to be based on the coolness of the picture. We're going to find the perfect marriage of both. We want a cool picture of a rifle. Even if it's your rifle that you already have, you got a cool pic of it, throw it up there and say, hey, I'm going to build another one like this, but then I'm going to use this or that or whatever. Or here's my rifle, and this is how I built it. We're cool with that too. So post it, tag us, tag everybody else. We'll see the tags. We'll pick a winner, and then we'll send that out. Fair enough? All right. Any other questions, just hit us on that social media. Let us know. I'll be glad to explain it further. But just remember, most importantly, all applicable laws apply. This is a gift to you. We're not selling it to you. That's how this is legal. It's our gift to you. So you got to be old enough. It's got to be legal where you live. And isn't it such a strange thing? My friend, just think about this. If you're even on the fence about, I wonder if that's legal where I am, how crazy is it that a state gets to tell you what you are and are not allowed to own? It's mind-boggling to me.
Only in Obama's America.
Well, in Ronald Reagan's, unfortunately, because he re-upped the 19, was it 38, 35, 38-ish? Anyway, NFA and all that. It's such a sad, sad time. We used to be Americans. Used to be great. We'll make it great again. All right. But anyway, thanks to everybody who's joined us on YouTube and Facebook. And thanks for downloading. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks for communicating with us. We've been trying to push out more YouTube videos, and I'm excited when people comment on that. Everything's been real positive. Let me just say that, by the way. Almost 5,000 views on the Saint video we did, which to me is great. You got 42 subscribers, 5,000 people have seen it, and every comment has been positive. And even the ones that are saying, hey, I don't think the Saint's for me because I like, we got a lot of the Colt LE 6920 model. I would buy that. Well, that's fine. And we weren't arguing either way, but a lot of it was all positive, which was interesting. And I'm not saying everybody was going, great video. It was just all positive discourse. And we didn't get trolled. Nobody was saying,
pretty unexpected.
This isn't right. And blah, 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 blah. It was a lot of fun. So love seeing that, love positive discourse, and just
makes us want to do more. Frankly.
Absolutely. And it makes me want to make clear the fact that you won't see a video from Felt Recoil telling you why this is a terrible gun. It's not going to be the thing we do. It's all about the fun of shooting and the fun of the shooting sports and the different guns you can get and why they're so much fun. We're not partial to any brand. It's why we're not sponsored by a brand. It's why we're not sponsored by
that's what we say.
people. Not yet, anyway.
But
if your check clears the bank, I'm glad to endorse High Point all day long. However, as the case is, we're in a great spot now where we do this for fun, and we're just able to say, hey, this is a lot of fun. This is a good gun. Here's every reason you could love it.
There's enough venom out there, though.
Right.
In all the social medias, especially comments on YouTube.
And we were having an interesting conversation today about the fact, we often say the terrorists are winning, like the TSA is evidence that the terrorists are winning. They really, truly are. I was listening to Adam Carolla talk this week, and he was talking about the new pat-down procedures of the TSA. Absolutely mind-numbing. If they're really doing it as extreme as he made it seem, It's unbelievable. The terrorists are winning because the TSA exists. So the trolls win by having guys who have all this knowledge, and then they try and force feed you a 35 to 45-minute video. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want the entire history of that firearm and you want to know every little piece and how it evolved to this and to that. I was watching a video by a very popular guy whose videos I enjoy. They tend to be lengthy. But I happened to be watching it to see the rundown on whatever it was. I don't remember. But he referenced that the VZ 2008 was an AK-47 like variant or style rifle or something like that. I would have agreed with that. It's a 7.62 by 39 that looks and feels and acts like an AK. He had to go back and notate it and say, yeah, it's actually not. It was based on this or whatever. And I thought, the trolls win. When you have to go back and when you have to create a video that's 25 minutes long only because you want to cover absolutely every nuance so nobody chews you out or tears you a new one or trolls you hard, when you feel compelled to do that, it's only because the trolls are out in so much force that you would feel bad not defending yourself.
Troll us all you want. Not going to happen.
You can troll us.
There will be no retraction videos.
No retractions. I'm not going to go back and annotate. I actually will enjoy trolling back. But that's the fun part. The community that I feel, it's obviously small. There's 4 dozen of us, but the community and the back and forth so far has been so positive and so just like, well, this is a good gun too, and this is a good gun too. That's all we're trying to do. I don't ever want it to be you got to know all your little details to be a part of this, because sometimes it does feel that way. Sometimes even in the gun store, you walk into the wrong gun store, it feels like you walked into a country club and you're not a member and nobody knows you and they don't want you there. Not the case, right? Shouldn't be the case. Because how does anybody learn? One of the things I loved about the Travis Haley class we took is that he was so out of the gate, off the bat, swallow your pride, get rid of your ego. If you can't put your ego in the back seat right now, you shouldn't be here, because we're going to teach you things you've never heard and applications you may have never thought of. And unless you can hit the reset button and say, well, here's a way worth trying, this probably isn't going to work for you. But you need, and Travis was very much like, approach everything in life like that. Wake up every day feeling empty and watch how much better life can be. So I kind of feel that way. Like if the online community of firearms isn't open for everybody, then nobody's going to learn anything, and you're going to scare people off, and nobody's going to be willing to go, hey, just a quick question. Can I make my AR-15 into a 308? And then you go, it would make sense that you could, because they look exactly like, but except these things are different. And they go, oh, okay, cool, so I have to build a whole new rifle. Yeah, well, those people aren't going to ask those questions if you don't seem welcoming. Sorry for the tangent. The point is, happy to see the growth on YouTube and Facebook and to the Felt Recoil community. If you want the lower, you now know the rules. Love to see you participate. Love to see your pictures. Just remember, feltrecoilshow.com, and you can find links to all of our social media there. So you know you got it exactly right. And tag us. Okay? All right. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that when we looked at our analytics recently, our female
4%.
Females were like less than 3%. Okay.
So 4%, I think, right?
So I don't think we'll make too many people angry.
But now we're down.
Get ready to go to nil.
We're below 4% now.
Just get ready to go to nil. Have you ever asked a woman for directions in your life? We know naturally that men and women are wired differently. And we've talked before about the fact that anybody who tells you that men and women are equal is stupid. Okay? It's a false premise. We're not equal. We're not equal in numbers. We're not equal in how good we look. We're not equal in our abilities. It's just not true. It's not true. My wife and my mom have an uncanny ability. This is going to sound very chauvinistic. I don't mean this to be, I'm going to reword it. This will be better. They have the ability to unconditionally love and deal with things that I could never deal with kids. For instance, and not that it's their job, but dirty diapers, okay? Somehow, my wife is able to take a dirty diaper off of a baby and not be affected by it. Whereas I look at it and I go, maybe you were a mistake, because it's like oozing out, and now there's stuff in the carpet, and now we're cleaning things that you wouldn't think should ever have poop on them. But my wife, no big deal. I'll clean it up. I'll wipe this. Oh, he's so cute. Look at that. Look at that. There's junk everywhere. And I'm like, gross. You know, me, I gag. My eyes are running. Tears are everywhere. I'm disgusted, shirts up around the face. Women, they can do it. Kids fall down. You know, if I'm in the living room and I go, boys, hey, guys, don't jump off that. Guys, don't jump. Well, then they jump. Splat. Ah! I'm like, well, what did you expect? What have I been sitting here telling you? What would you expect with that? Women? Oh, it's okay. Now listen. We learn in life. We learn these lessons. I'm like, nope. You know, so they have the compassion. They have the ability. And that applies to many, many different areas, but those are kids. That's what I see. I'm sure it applies everywhere else. If you've seen the video of the Marines where the female Marine gets just plowed over by that guy when they're jousting, have you seen that yet?
I have not.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. We're not equal, okay? Men are big, strong by nature, right? It's typically 90% of the men are the ones doing the heavy lifting, literally, in the world. And some women are able to do that too, and some men aren't. We get it. But when it comes to directions, men are much different in the way they offer directions for things. Okay, if you ask me directions to something, I'd go, well, are you trying to get there fast? Do you want to take the scenic route? How do you want to do it? And you go, oh, well, my approach is going to be this. And I go, okay, we'll go here, go down here, blah, blah, blah. Women, it's just, okay, you're going to drive. So men tend to be better about, so what I would do is I would take Wade Hampton to 14, and you'll see that Sphinx on your left. Yeah, okay, go left there. Follow that just all the way, and you'll see a sign for 85, and then you'll merge onto what's going to be, I think that's this road, and you follow that all the way down, and then you'll see 85. Okay, right? Women, well, you get on Wade Hampton, and you'll see a Walmart, and then after Walmart is a bank, and then after the bank is a gas station, and after the gas station, there's a red light, there's a Taco Bell across the street. You take your left right there. Okay, so left of the Taco Bell. Well, yes, but there's also a gas station. So make sure you see the gas station and the Taco Bell, and then you take your left. Okay. So I take my left, and what I do? Okay, you're going to go down. You're going to pass 4 car dealerships on your left, and there's a micro brew joint on your right, and you keep going. Okay, then you can pass 17 churches because you're in Greenville, South Carolina. And at the 18th church at the red light, take a right. Okay, so do you know the name of that church? No, but it's number 18. They know every little detail for directions, right? So it's always hard to take directions from women.
Not the street names.
Especially, yeah, never. And my mom's a nightmare. I make fun of my mom. My mom has zero sense of direction. So we get in the car. Not too long ago, we were in the car together. And my mom has lived here in this town continually for 21 years. 21 years. And she was here for years before that. We lived here when I was very young and then moved back when I was I 15 when we moved back, or was I 13? 13. So I was 13. So 23 years now we've been in this. She has been in this town continually. I've moved around a little bit. Almost about, I guess, 6 or 7 years out. Came back, blah, blah. Long story short, I was in the car with her not too long ago. I'm like, yeah, go this way. Okay, we're here. All right, just go right. And then I thought she knew where we were. And then we're driving. And I was like, Mom, whoa, you got to go right here. You got to go right here. Aren't we going back to your house? She goes, yeah. Is this the road? Yes, this is the road home for you, who's lived here for 23 years nonstop. She goes, I have a horrible sense of direction. And then we literally got to, I don't know, about a quarter of a mile from her neighborhood. And I was like, do you know where we are? You're going to be able to, all right, go left here. I know where we are. I was like, okay, this is going to be your driveway up here. And I just wouldn't shut up about it. Some women are bad. Like my mom is the epitome of no sense of direction. She'd probably be the last person I'd call for directions. So I tell you all that to say I think men can universally agree that women are terrible with directions, and women probably have something that we're not aware of that they totally would say men are bad at this, right? Like that probably exists. My wife wouldn't say cooking because I do all the cooking. But anyway, so the point is this.
I'm sure Lindsay could rattle off a list.
I'm sure every woman that we know could. But here's my point. So I think I'm going to be real snarky last week. I almost said cheeky, so I got to quit watching Thomas the Tank Engine with my sons. I thought I'd be real sarcastic and hijack International Women's Day on our Facebook page last week. Okay? So here's what happens, just to defend myself here. I start rolling out these hashtags of her voice is my voice, because that's the hashtag we were told to use, right? Her voice is my voice. This is the email we get.
Who told us we were supposed to use those?
YouTube did.
I didn't get that memo.
All right. So the YouTubes sends out an email and says, It just says hashtag her voice is my voice, little graphic here, right? Be a part of her voice is my voice. This International Women's Day, we're asking for your support in uniting our community at a time when global sisterhood is stronger than ever. Okay, sure. Listen to me carefully. On March 7th, use hashtag her voice is my voice to share one YouTube video about or made by a woman that inspires you. Okay? So, on March 7th, I posted all these videos of women who weren't touting liberal ideology. I think I did an Ann Coulter. I know I did Ayan Hirsi Ali, who we've talked about, and her telling her life story about leaving Islam and what a violent ideology that really is. And I'm hashtagging everything, her voice is my voice, on March 7th, as I was told to do by what is, I guess, a woman on YouTube. So kind of flat, no response. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Like, I thought that'd be kind of funny. I thought, a couple people would retweet it or get on board with this or that. So I go about my normal work day, come home that night, and I'm on the computer that night, and I start seeing everybody go, yeah, tomorrow's International Women's Day, March 8th. And I go, what? No. It was today. No, it's March 8th. So I Google.
Lied to by the YouTubes?
Yeah, I Google it. And of course, International Women's Day, a day without women, whatever they celebrated where you are, it was March 8th. It wasn't even March 7th. So I thought, this is why you never take directions from a woman, because she said this was happening on March 7th. I refuse to believe a guy wrote this email. Had to have been. So if you happen to have seen it and you thought, those guys are stupid, that's tomorrow. Well, according to the
YouTube's is to blame.
It was March 7th.
Hey, real quick, when is Day Without Middle-Aged White Dudes?
Yeah, right? Wouldn't that be fun?
I'm ready for that one.
I would like to remind you that we own a page on Facebook called Sandwich Lives Matter. And
Yum.
I really should have harnessed the energy of a day without women to talk about how many sandwiches did not get made that day.
You are a terrible person. And that 3.6% just went down to 2.6.
I told you, get ready for nil. Just to defend myself here. I have a problem with anything where people say, if we go away, everything will stop, right? Here's a day without women in your life. Because nobody ever notices. It doesn't actually take effect. I don't know how many women...
If you believe that to be true, just go and quit your job.
Yeah, and see what happens.
And see what happens.
Right. And to me, you kind of have a moral obligation to do so. It's a lot like... I think the time I see it most often is when truckers are like that. And truckers will say, well, if I didn't deliver my load, the whole economy would come to a screeching halt. Your load of goods that you got from a train that was stacked off of a freight carrier that came across the ocean, you're not the only cog in this machine. It's not just you. The world will go on without you. Trust me, from a guy who has experienced it firsthand, you will deal in life with the fact that you will think you're more important than you are to something, and then you will go away and it will carry on without you. It's kind of like how when famous people die, there tends to be this outpour of just mourning and, oh, I can't believe this person is dead or that person died. And you go, well, what did that person do with their life? I'm sure they may have done a lot of great things, but the only reason I know them is they were in a couple of movies I may have seen. That doesn't have a major impact on me. I look at it and I go, okay, well, everybody dies. I hate to tell you that. The people we should mourn when they die are the people who are actually out there affecting good change. When Mother Teresa died, we should have all been sad. When Princess Diana died, we should have all been sad because those are people who are actually out there affecting good in the world. Those people don't get the notoriety, but despite all that, the world goes on without them. The wheel continues to turn.
I'm personally still mourning the loss of Michael Jackson.
Okay, so
I couldn't keep a straight face.
I'm still celebrating, right? Imagine how many children haven't been sexually abused since he died. What a good thing. It's kind of like on the level of Jeffrey Dahmer. But the difference is Jeffrey Dahmer didn't do anything to entertain you with his life, but Michael Jackson did. So you're willing to write off the fact that Michael Jackson probably raped a bunch of little boys. That's not a big deal to us. But Jeffrey Dahmer, what a sick monster. They were both sick monsters. Like Michael Jackson never murdered anybody and cannibalized them. I get the Jeffrey Dahmer.
That we know of.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Caveat.
Yeah. Maybe that's what happened to his skin.
I mean,
is that what cannibalism does to you? It eats away your nose and your skin pigmentation?
Neverland Ranch, big place, a lot of room to hide bodies. That's all I'm saying.
What's this CNN dude who just cannibalized? Did you see that? He ate human brain on CNN.
I did see. Yeah, I don't know who he is, but I did see the story.
He's the token Muslim now. Who is trying to say that Muslims aren't weird, and then he's eating human brain. Like, if you're champion,
was he in the Temple of Doom while he was doing that?
Right, exactly. Just imagine. What's the phrase I'm looking for? If you're out championing the fact that listen, I follow the same faith, and it is not archaic, and it is not third world. But have you ever had human brain? Because it's a little bit like turkey. Like if you've had ground turkey and you've had human brain, it's very similar. It's interesting. I put it in a tortilla, a little cilantro and some onion. I'm telling you, you wouldn't know a difference. But Islam is not backward. It is not third world. It is not archaic. It's not archaic. What I can't remember his name. I hate that. But
I don't know who he was.
So he's out there now eating human brains and CNN airs it. Like what other crimes against humanity can you commit and CNN will put on the air? But the point is,
where did they get the brains? I guess is maybe
he's with a Hindu tribe.
Right, and there's a lot of Hindus that are upset about the fact that they aired this because it's given Hinduism a bad name.
Well, as long as it's not Islam, we can do it. Okay, I'd like to. Do you think he'll go to Thailand and have sex with a 9-year-old girl to live like Muhammad did now? I mean, maybe, right? I mean, might as well if we're diving into it.
Strong possibility on CNN.
Yeah.
Don't lie to you.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. They'd send Don Lemon, but he doesn't like girls.
They would, but they didn't get Trump's tax returns.
Oh, so. That's on the list, my friend. I don't know. I think this is Reza Aslan, is the host of Believer on CNN. And he's now under fire for a scene on his show in which he ate human brains while showcasing a group of Hindus who practice cannibalism in India. Now, will he go? Now now that's the barometer, right? Like this is where he has set the gauge.
The new barometer.
I will look at all sects of all religions on my show, Believer. He now must go and find the crazy Muslims, right? And showcase them. We now have to hear on CNN from the Muslims who believe exactly what Muhammad taught, who believe that all the Jews have to die in order for Muhammad to return. Verbatim quote, by the way, from Muhammad: the resurrection will not occur until even the rocks and trees cry out, "O believer, O Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." That is their teaching. That is their ideology. They believe that. He now has to go and highlight that.
No, Chris.
So, hey, if Hindus eat
Religion
brains,
of peace.
hey, but it's only one portion, right? That's the point, right? Well, this is only. Don't get mad. Hindus can't get mad that he ate brains with Hindus. We're pointing out this is one weird section of Hinduism, right? So now, the people, by the way, Hindus who believe that a boy got his head stuck in a tree and his mom chopped it off and replaced it with an elephant's head, and now he's a god. Okay, you figure that one out. Now he has to go. He needs to go and experiment with his own faith and the crazies that are part of that. The point is, why is it sick and evil that Jeffrey Dahmer did it for pleasure, but it's okay for a CNN correspondent to go and do it for the sake of, I guess what you'd say, quote unquote, science or reporting or enlightenment?
Maybe that's what they're teaching at the journalism schools now.
You know what? You can make the argument that this guy is more evil than Jeffrey Dahmer because Dahmer never cashed a paycheck for eating people. He actually went to jail.
Point taken, sir.
He went to jail and got his head bashed into a toilet and got everything he deserved, and then had to wake up and meet his maker. This dude is cashing a check and cannibalizing people, and he's doing it to say, hey, look at how crazy. Every religion has its crazy. Every religion has its crazy. But for some reason, we're okay with equating it with, well, he's just being a journalist versus, well, this guy was evil and killed people versus Michael Jackson entertained me. And so I mourn when this guy dies, but I don't mourn when Dahmer dies. And the CNN guy, we just kind of leave alone. It's just interesting how our mind compartmentalizes people, and we tend to we give them a pass on certain things. And we say, it's okay for you to do that and to be crazy because I know maybe your overall intentions are good. Not to beat a dead horse, we're about to transition into this website you introduced me to. But it's exactly what modern Muslims do with their religion. And I don't want to have the whole show centered on this. Now I've made 100 references to the faith, but you introduced me to a website this week that I found so funny called JesusIsMuslim.net, where you can discover Islam through Christian scriptures. So here's the website. What does Islam tell us about Jesus? Before explaining the Islamic belief in Jesus, let's first explain what Islam means. For the record, it means submission. Literally means submission. Okay. Islam means that we only worship God, who created us and created the universe. So He is the only one that deserves to be worshipped. God sent messengers to tell people about this absolute fact and remind them about it. We as Muslims believe in Jesus, peace be upon him. We believe in him being miraculously born from Virgin Mary. The Holy Quran says, and the one who guarded her chastity, that's Mary, so we blew into her garment through our angel Gabriel and made her and her son a sign for the worlds. Not only this, we also have a chapter in the Quran called the Chapter of Mary. You can read it here. They have a link on their website. This chapter talked about the birth of Jesus, peace be upon him. Now, I'm no theologian here, but I did grow up in church.
Play one on TV.
Yeah, and I do recall Jesus saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. And I also realized that Jesus lived and died 600-something years before Muhammad was even born. And Jesus never prophesied Muhammad or further prophets, okay? That's the Christian faith's problem with both Mormonism and any other faith that says there's now a new prophet and you need to believe his teachings. Now, here's what Muhammad taught. Muhammad taught Jesus was on par with Muhammad. Hence, Muhammad taught Muhammad was on par with Jesus.
Peace be upon him.
Which one?
Right.
One of them deserved the death by poison that he got. Muhammad. Anyway, Muhammad, you need to understand this. The argument can very validly be made. And I promise you, by the way, I will never dive into this deep again unless we have a guest that's worth doing. But this kind of stuff, because I think we're seeing it so much more now where everyone thinks it's kind of like homophobia and transgenderism, right? There's an article, no kidding, in New Zealand right now about, get ready to wrap your head around this, transgendered women, so men who became women, who are now lesbians after living life for decades as gay men. So
I'm going to need you to draw me a chart.
Here's the chart. They say there are men, and there are men. The article was about men who were gay and decided to become women and then decided as a now surgically made woman, they will be into women. So they could have just been a regular dude like the rest of us and been normal and had sex with women, but they decided, I'm going to pay a doctor to cut off my reproductive organs, and then I will go have sex with women.
All right.
And we're being told that we have to accept that as normal. That is a psychosis. That is believing you are 7 feet tall when you are 5'1". That is believing you are.
I've met that guy before.
It is. There's. Yeah. Napoleon
got his ass kicked a lot.
That's right. There is no difference between the transgender and the anorexic. They both have a psychotic issue in their brain. They believe they are something they are not, and they go to drastic, horrific extremes to fix a perceived problem. I was born a boy. I believe I'm a girl. I'm going to go pay a doctor, and he's going to rip off my reproductive organs and make me a woman. Or I believe I'm morbidly obese, but I only weigh 85 pounds, and I'm just going to stay really skinny until I die. I will slowly starve myself to death. I will die that way. It is the same psychosis, and it's the same garbage we're being fed about an ideology that is sold to us as a faith, but it is not. So when Westerners, you and I, when we think faith, we think a relation or religion, I should say. When we think religion,
I'm a Southerner, Chris.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Okay. So when I say, Patrick, tell me what religion is. What is religion?
Well, it's an idea. It's your faith.
Okay. Of what?
I guess that depends on what you believe in.
Right. But believe in what? Faith, your religion, right?
A higher being.
That's
that's
where we're going here.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
So it's safe to say that if I say the word religion, everyone thinks the set of beliefs that establishes the relationship between man and his creator, right?
Sure.
That is not Islam. In Islam, there is no personal relationship between man and God. None. There is no talk of being blessed by God. There is talk of God will make you victorious in battle. So those could be your blessings. But there is no personal relationship. There's also no conversion in Islam. You are born a Muslim or you can convert to being a Muslim, but there's no salvation. There's no guarantee. So conversion was the wrong word. There's no salvation in Islam. The only guarantee of entering heaven upon death is dying in service to God, which is why terrorists, when they blow themselves up, say, God is great. God is great. God is great. God is great. Allahu Akbar. God is great. God is great. God is great. The point is to declare their allegiance to Allah and to declare that they are in the service of Allah when they die. So what is Islam if it's not a religion? It is a form of government. You're hearing a lot in the news now about Sharia law. It's 100% valid. Sharia law is archaic and it's backwards and it's perverse. It allows men to marry and rape girls who haven't even reached puberty. The Quran, by the way, outlines the law for divorcing a girl who hasn't reached menstruation. That is in the Quran, okay? This idea, here's what I'm drawing for you, is the idea that Islam would acknowledge Christ and call itself on par with the faith and share any sort of common tenets is as absurd as me telling you that Adolf Hitler admired the Jews in any way whatsoever. It's equally absurd to try to sell me a bill of goods that says, but you know...
That's a pretty colorful picture you're painting there,
Right.
Vermillion.
But anyway, imagine the way that you would laugh at someone if they said, you know, despite everything,
I mean, he was all right with them.
he really admired the Jews. He really did. He had a deep respect for them. You would go, no, he didn't. He tried to kill them all. Muhammad tried to kill anyone who did not convert to his faith, including his aunt and uncle, who you can read in the Quran. He curses to an eternal hell. He tells them, I hope you're bound to wood and burn for eternity, because they wouldn't, not because they did anything wrong, but because they refused to convert to his faith. Remember, this man went to a cave and spent like a year in a cave and came out, some would say mad and out of his mind, but claimed that God talked to him while he was in his cave. And that's where Islam started. This is not a faith where Muhammad did good works and miracles and said, watch as the law I preach is exemplified through the life I live. This is a man who went around and said, convert or die or join me and live. Islam is submission, okay? And jihad, by the way, is my struggle, as is what? Mein Kampf. It's the same context. It's the same phrase, my struggle. And they're both equally anti-Semitic. They both hate the Jews and the gays equally. And for the record, just so you don't think I'm talking with a chip on my shoulder, Muhammad was worse than the Hindus than he ever was the Christians. Ever. The Hindus got no breaks. None. They were slaughtered. Christians, still in this day, can live in a state subjugated to the Muslims, okay? It's called dhimitude, D-H-I-M-M-I. If you want to look it up,
Tax, right?
you're a dhimmi. No, that's the poor tax, which is the jizya. You pay that tax to live as a dhimmi.
Gotcha.
Okay? And so if you're a dhimmi in Islamic society, this is true, this is their law, you can't live in a home that is too tall for a Muslim man to touch the top of. You cannot publicly display your faith. And you cannot marry their women. Don't even think about that. You won't vote. You will be taxed heavily for the right to live under the protection of Muslims. You are, in fact, a slave to their society. So you hear a lot of, well, they treated the Christians well and they treated the Jews well, only if those people agreed to subjugation, submission, Islam. It's all there for you. It's an easy thing to see if somebody tells you. And I'm so tired of seeing it played out as if it's some, and this is the parallel I was trying to draw here. It's played out like it's some mainstream friendly something, and it never, ever has been. Here's the fact nobody can argue. I'll tell you two things and I'll get over this, okay? Number one, Islam has never been the religion of the majority and maintained peace. Ever in the history of the world. Ever in the history of the world. Okay? Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, the United Arab Emirates are all currently, Iran, are all currently Islamic majority countries, and they are all currently some of the most gross violators of basic human rights, especially towards women, But also, think about in Dubai, you can't even enter the United Arab Emirates if you're an Israeli-born Jew. So there's racism there. There's a denial of basic human rights.
Yeah, a lot of those countries got a lot of that Hillary money, though.
You know that's right. And why? Because their ideologies line up. A select few should have power over the many. And Hillary feels like, well, they believe in the same vein that I do, but those people know. They know. Look, we're gonna put the power in the hands of a few, and then we're gonna seize that power and subjugate everyone.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Saudi Arabia will fund Hillary's New York mayoral campaign?
No, I think they already have, right? The hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, they're really pissed over there, and they're just like, "Well, I guess we'll take what we can get. Mayoral work."
Yeah. Do you remember the meme that went around right after the election where she was standing there talking to the guy, and he was saying, "What do you mean, no returns?"
Yeah, no refunds.
No refunds. That was it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay. So that was point number one. It's never been the religion of the majority and maintain peace. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So challenge people with that. Challenge them. Where has it ever been? And they'll go, oh, it's been here. Okay, wait. When it was there peace for everyone? Well, yeah. They weren't at war. They were peaceful. Wait, no. But did everyone in the society have the same access to basic human rights? Well, I would think so. No, they didn't. They didn't. All right. Here's the second thing you need to understand. There are no coincidences in life, okay? The last crusade, the Crusades are highly misunderstood from the perspective of modern era. The Crusades, I would argue, and I won't get too deep into it, but they were a defensive rally against the Islamic Crusaders. And they ended when the King of Poland crushed the Mohammedan army at the gates of Vienna. You can look this up, do your homework on it, the gates of Vienna. That battle began. He began crushing them on what day? Take a wild guess.
I don't have any idea.
Take a wild guess.
I wouldn't even know.
September 11th, 1683. It is
odd coincidence.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what did you just say?
Yeah.
No coincidence?
No such thing. If you think those guys don't know, see, we tend to do this where we look at these guys and they live in mud huts and they wipe with their hand and we go, they must be idiots. Those guys know. They don't have anything else to do. They study their history.
They're just holding a grudge.
They need to get over it. We won. And we're winning again, and we'll continue to win. Because the truth of the matter is that good people will always survive and overcome because they tend to rally together. We can put our petty differences aside, like Canada's fake bacon and the French terrible food. We can put those differences aside.
Toast? But I like French toast.
Right. And snails. I like to put the snails on my French toast. But if we got to come together and kick some ass, we know how to do that. Like, we can do that for the cause of freedom. So we're good at that. And I'm sorry that this was so much maybe intellectual property you didn't care to hear or whatever, but the point is, the same way we're just getting force-fed this idea that transgender people are normal, we should accept it, let's wrap our arms around them, there's no difference between them and you. There is, they have a mental disease. It's the same way I feel about this idea that there's no difference between the Islamic faith and the Christian faith, and we're going to set up a website that says Jesus was a Muslim, although everything Muhammad ever taught defies everything Jesus ever taught, whereas Jesus taught love your enemy and Muhammad taught kill them. I went on Facebook. It was so funny. I saw the Nike hijab thing, and Milo had posted it, and it said, just do it.
Did you get something for your wife?
I did. Well, so what I did was, I don't know where my Quran is, but I found verse. You see it?
Yep, right there.
Yes.
Does it say something about Nike in there?
It does.
Oh, good.
But listen, if you've ever wanted to just have a book around your house for some light reading.
Adidas sucks, though.
Yeah. So I posted this verse. This is from the Quran, chapter 4, verse 34. That's not the terms they use, but it's the terms I'm going to use because it makes sense to us. Men are the maintainers of women with what Allah has made some of them to excel above others and with what they spend out of their wealth. So the good women are obedient, guarding the unseen. That means like their bodies, as Allah has guarded. And as to those women on whose part you fear desertion, my wife, admonish them, leave them alone in the beds, and beat them. But if they obey you, seek not a way against them. So I posted that on my Facebook.
Just do it.
Yeah. So, here's the funny part. The just do it thing in the lady in the hijab, it says just do it. And then it says,
asterisk, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it says, if your husband allows it. Yeah. Is that right? It's so funny. So then I posted that verse on mine, said never forget, and tagged my wife in it. Well, of course, my cousin comes and she's all like, 1 Corinthians says women had to be quiet in the church. And in Exodus, it says you could stone your daughter for adultery. And I go, that's the entire point. Thank you. That is the entire point. You can go to the Bible and you can go to the Old Testament in Exodus and you can see the old law and you can see how people had to live before Christ died. And then you go to the New Testament and you can go, they had archaic rules. When Paul was writing to the church in Corinth, they had archaic rules where women were quiet. But then Christians, thanks to Christ, evolved. And Christ came and said, none of that matters. None of it matters. Here's the law that matters. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. You do that, those are the two greatest commandments. Can you master that? I can't. And I mean, I'm telling right now, I'm editorializing. I can't do that. I hate everybody. Like, I have problems with people that live around me. I can't do it.
I work retail.
But right, exactly. You work retail, you learn to hate people. But you learn also that you are in control, right? You have your free will. So I can choose to hate everybody and not want to deal with them. Or I can go, you know what? I'm compelled by my maker to be better than that. I'm not trying to preach anybody, but the point is, Christ came and said, if you're a Christian, you believe this, Christ came and said, here's your great commandments, do this, but also be good. Just in general, be good. When people came and said, why are you talking to that prostitute? He said, why wouldn't I? Why can't I just be good? Why can't I just be good in the world? Why can't I just be good? And then everybody had to go, well, because Exodus says we have to stone her. And Jesus said, not anymore. I'm here. I'm God incarnate. I'm God in the flesh. No, stop it. So my cousin, who obviously doesn't understand basic Christianity, and I'm not saying that be mean. I don't think she does. I don't know that she attends church as a habit. Not that makes you a Christian, because I don't attend church as a habit. But it's such a funny thing because she's convinced that because she can find 3 verses that show that maybe women were treated as, in ways that we would go, that's kind of weird these days. I mean, we know there's still people in society or family dynamics where women don't make decisions without the husband. Whereas my wife comes to me and she goes, so what do you think? Are we going to buy those 320 count thread sheets or whatever? And I go, why do you keep asking? Yes. But do you want them? Then buy them. You make all the money in this family. Spend it.
You can go get them.
Yeah. I don't care. You know what I want? I want to make less decisions in life. But
I'll even let you walk in front of me at the store.
Right. It's just such a funny thing because there are people out there that maybe act archaically in the way they treat their women, but that is not the norm for modern era people. And so then they go into the whole argument of, well, the violent Muslims are a select few. Those are the fundamentalists, and they exist in the millions and tens of millions, if not 100 million of them exist. The people who don't believe any of that, to me, are somewhat complicit because maybe a few of them are doing something to stop it, but they're not all doing it to stop it. You go to Dearborn, Michigan, right? And guess what? Those people are just as radical as everybody else. You go into certain parts of Minnesota.
This guy up there yesterday, they caught with a grenade launcher and grenades.
Did you hear a story about them? Somebody was telling me today, and I hadn't seen it. Oh, yeah, it kind of doesn't apply. I heard that they just caught a guy living in Michigan, by the way, who was a legit Nazi. Did you see this?
No.
I was just told this before we started recording, so I haven't had time to look it up. If somebody knows that story, we tag us in it on Facebook.
They're all living in Argentina.
Yeah, it could be, right? That's a story I've heard, at least. So, all right, that's enough of that. I'm sorry. But
I forgive you.
You brought that website to my attention.
As Christ would do.
Thank you. And I thought...
Peace be upon him.
It really used to bug
I'm not going to let that go.
It used to bug my mom because I would say, inshallah, which is if God wills it, basically. But that's, in Arabic. And man, I would just be, well, that's God's will, inshallah. And she goes, stop it with that. Stop it. And I'll just say it just to bug her. But anyway.
I used to have a teacher that used to say, aji, aji. And then he'd be like, and everybody just look at him really funny. He'd go, that's Arabic for hurry up. I have no idea if that's true or not, but he used to say it all the time.
He could never teach today, could he? Well, you couldn't get away with that.
That was high school pre 9/11.
Well, I remember being in high school. I had a friend named Musa Hanna, and he was from Lebanon. He was a legitimate refugee. His family came here to avoid the war, and he was one of the coolest cats we had in high school, man. But we got tasked with this video project. I might even email Mr. Nicholas and ask if he still has this, which I doubt he does. But we were in a television broadcasting class together. And so the school I was at, the university, allowed us to use their actual film studio, like every school has, right? Like a TV station type thing. And they had a set mocked up for an airplane. And the assignment was make an airplane video, and the script... We had to write the script, but the premise was a guy on an airplane was selling watches to everybody. So that was the idea. Well, as it started, we were filming it and decided I would be the guy selling watches. But then it got funnier if Musa did it and everybody thought he was a terrorist with a bomb, right? So we strap all these watches to Musa's arm, and he gets up and he's starting to try to sell everybody. Well, then everybody just, what's the phrase? Slowly, everyone is getting more and more nervous, right? It's like a crescendo of nervousness, and it reaches a boiling point, and a lady screams out, "He's got a bomb!" And and then he turns mad, and he's like, "I'm selling watches," and he looks at the camera. I remember going back to the class, and it was one of those moments where you're really proud of something, and it's going to go over really well, and then it just sinks like a lead balloon. They put that thing on that old, 32-inch tube television and put the VHS in. It's all scratchy. Here comes Musa, and he's like, buy this watch. And I just remember I really admired my teacher, so I was watching him. Of course, he's going to laugh, hysterical, and his face will get red. And his face got red, but for all the wrong reasons. He was so mad. He was like, okay, first of all, you're doing this again. I don't know why you would think that was funny. And I'm sure probably in his lifetime. I don't know where the Pan Am bombing lined up to this. It was probably pretty recent past, because wasn't that late 80s, early 90s Pan Am?
I don't know.
And so maybe that's why the reaction was as poor as it was. But we didn't know that. We didn't know that. We just thought we were being funny. Very similar, by the way, to the fact that when I was in... Birmingham, Alabama, I did a bit, the day in the life of Silas, 1988, December 21st, 1988. Well, this would have been like 10 years later. So the big thing on MTV at the time was... well,
I know it wasn't music videos.
No, it wasn't, but it was a reality show where they were following celebrities around for a day in their life. So I went by Silas at the time on the air, and we did one where I had my buddy voice it, and they were like, and he was all like, "MTV presents a day in the life of Silas," and it was me just progressively doing stupid and stupider stuff. So at noon, he rolls over, still drunk from the night before. And, he thinks of showering, but he's hungrier. He's more hungry than he is that he cares to be clean or whatever. He's more hungry than he is hygienic, I think was the phrase. And he goes through it. Well, anyway, there's a reference in there to, 4 p.m. Silas, as drunk as a high school girl in Cancun, Mexico, enters the Mexican restaurant, something like that. Well, we played it for a guy to see if he would think it was funny. And he goes, yeah, man, I'd be real careful with that, okay? I'd be real careful with that. Total wet blanket. And I was like, okay, all right. He walks out. I remember my buddy going, what's wrong with him? I was like, I don't know. That would have been 2000 and I think 7 or 8-ish, somewhere in there. And I mean, for years, that stuck with me. Literally, I would always think about that. And I go, man, he was a cool guy, but I just remember that one time, he was such a wet blanket about that bit. And I was like, oh. And then I happened to catch a documentary on Natalie Holloway, and I didn't know enough about her and realized she was from Birmingham, Alabama, and had been murdered, 2 or 3 years before I was airing that bit. And I go, light bulb. Oh, that's what he meant about be careful with that around here. It wasn't that he didn't like the bit. It was, hey.
Probably could have been a little more specific.
Natalie Holloway was from here, right? And got murdered because she got drunk in Aruba. No, I didn't know that. All right. One more thing. Would you like to talk it all tonight?
Nah, I'm just gonna hang out.
Let's just learn a lesson about people from the SIG 320. If you're not familiar, the SIG 320 is a modular pistol. It's been picked up by the Army. Yeah. It has been declared the new.
Didn't you just ask me if I wanted to talk? Because now I don't want to talk about anything. Now I'm just mad and want to go home because I hate that thing.
Hey, can I just give you some life advice, my friend?
Go for it.
We spend a lot of time together.
We do.
You'll notice that when I get irritated about things, I go off. And I mean, I don't like scream at people. But you can't shut me up, is my point. I'm the Energizer Bunny of running at the mouth.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Still going. You need more of that in your life.
Maybe I do.
You're kind of the guy that's like, this guy really annoys me. It makes me wonder if you secretly hate me. Like, that could be a thing where all this time you just don't talk because I irritate you so much.
Well, I wondered how long it was going to take you to figure out, and here we are.
Just one day
we have met the crossroads. Stuff up now and head on out of here.
Chris, I'd like to tell you about my new podcast.
Again, thanks for the free beer.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think you paid for it. So here's the point.
Thanks for giving me my beer back.
You're welcome. It just sits in the fridge. There's a lesson to be learned about the SIG 320 and people because of the SIG 320.
I am genuinely intrigued.
So the lesson is that we all need to stop doing what we're told. Okay? If we would do that, we'd have a better form of government because we would stop putting up with the crap that they send down the pipe to us.
I feel like this is going into a tax stamp lecture, but go ahead.
Well, we've already been there recently, so I'll avoid it. But yes, even that, the useless ATF would not exist if people would stop doing things just because they're told to do them. How does that pertain to the P320? I work in a gun store. Up to about 6 weeks ago, I think I showed 3 people a SIG 320, and every one of them would go, what do you think about it? And I'd go, makes me shrug. Why does it make you shrug? Well, I'll tell you why. Number one, here, hold it. They'd hold it. They go, it's kind of plasticky. And I'd go, yeah. Now, pull the trigger and recognize that you're going to feel every pop and spring of that trigger when you pull it. You feel
it's very true.
The reverberation of the springs as you pull the trigger, and if you hold it back to the rear, you will feel every spring continue to vibrate, right?
The whole gun vibrates.
It's not an exaggeration. So then the Army picks it up. And every person that has, and here's the other lesson. People are really good at reading headlines. Nobody reads the substance. Nobody.
Nope.
They read the headline, they share it, they believe, well, whatever conclusion I drew by reading the headline must be true. The headline is, the Army picks up the SIG P320 because it's a modular pistol design. And everybody comes in and they go, is that modular pistol? And I go, yeah, do you know what that means? Do you know what it means that it's a modular pistol? It means there's a few things that can be switched around. I don't even think, can you change the trigger in a 320? I don't think you can. I think it's one of the things you
saw
can't.
Yesterday, Apex Tactical is coming out with a trigger for it. So yes, I think there are going to be some upgrades out there.
But as of now, no. So
No, I don't think SIG has released anything separate.
the modularity draw is that you can buy other frames
And slides
and
barrels,
slides and drop everything into it.
which is nothing new.
It's every Glock.
They came
And
out. So
everything
it's based
that's
on
ever
the,
existed.
It's based on the P250, which has been out for 5 years or more, probably.
Right.
Which is a big old hunk of crap.
It is the Corolla of the SIG line. I mean, if there's the Toyota Corolla and Camry and Avalon and on up the line, but the Corolla is the bottom of the line.
I wouldn't do Toyota the disservice of comparing them to SIG, but sure.
It's the
I'll give you
Yaris.
that.
Isn't that their crappy little...
But I mean, the 250's been out for a while. Same concept where you could take the fire control group out of the frame and you could sub the frame out for different sizes. And then you could change calibers with different barrel conversion kits and magazines, and you could change the slide length as well. That's all it means that it's a modular pistol. And every gun that the Army was fielding was in some way, quote unquote, modular, which they narrowed down a couple of times. So how they got to the SIG, I don't know.
well, we do know, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Which is, I know what you're saying.
It's the cheapest
How in
one.
the world? Right.
I mean-
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I got in a conversation with a guy in the who is in the military currently, and he said, it's really funny that guys come into the store and they want to talk about, well, I want whatever's mil spec. And he goes, I don't think people understand what mil spec is. Mil spec just means it's the most durable, cheapest thing the government could get.
Right. Yeah.
So mil spec doesn't necessarily mean it's better than anything else.
Not even close.
So, I mean, it does, so in the AR world, it denotes sort of a standard for how it's
design specs
made, right?
Right.
But overall, it doesn't really mean crap at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, so if you could put it in a different perspective, we could agree that you could have mil-spec houses, and the mil-spec houses would have to have a certain amount of square footage, a certain amount of rooms, a certain amount of bathrooms, but what happens inside of all those doesn't really matter to the military. They just care that it must be 4 bedrooms, it must have 2.5 baths, there must be a separate dining room, there must be a laundry room, and there must be office working space.
Right.
That's a mil-spec house. You want to have a deck off the back? We don't care. You can or you can't. You want to do this? You can or you can't. You want to have hardwoods? You can or you can't. We don't care. But that's a mil-spec house, right? So they'll give you the overall platform design, right? The overall specs. But what you do after that, above and beyond, is totally up to you. So the headline readers come in, who is the majority of people, and they go, well, I'll take that 320, and I want to look at it because it's a modular pistol. You go, okay, well, listen, here's the thing. Yeah, here it is. And they pick it up and they go, yeah, the Army, and that's how it goes every time. Yeah, the Army just picked this up. You go, they sure did. All right, I'll take one. It's now a selling point. SIG couldn't be happier. And here's why it's such a, I can't think of the right phrase. It's so good for SIG. It's so good. Because A, SIG only won because they sold them to the Army for like $220 each. Cheap. They sold them to the Army. Okay, those things sit on the shelf at $500 and $600, but they sold them to the Army at a third of the cost, which should show you what SIG's doing for margins. That's pretty impressive stuff. There is,
Which would make you wonder why you would spend $550 on one.
right, because you'll probably get it in the future for a lot cheaper.
Well, I'm just saying if they can sell them to the government for $220, but I got to pay $550 for it.
Right.
What's going on there?
But that's the win-win for SIG. The government's now going to buy however many million of them at $225 each, and then the general public, who doesn't know any better, is going to run out and buy one for $500 and $600 because the Army picked it up. So SIG wins from every side. I would love to hear the argument made. I think it would be very, very difficult to convince me that the SIG 320 is a better gun than the Glock M17. And I'm not saying that as a Glock fanboy, even though the most recent YouTube video is about, the Vickers Glock. I'm saying it because I've seen the Glock M17. I've held the Glock M17. I've pulled the trigger on the Glock M17. And any recreational shooter having a choice between the two, hands down, would pick the Glock M17. 90% of the time, easy. Easy.
I agree with you, but my argument there is that Glock is a upgraded model of the Gen 4 17.
Oh, yeah.
And it already has some lineage there, okay?
Yeah.
So it's been around since the mid-'80s in one iteration or the other. and they work. That's why 65% or so of law enforcement carry Glocks. The SIG 320 has been around for 2 whole years now, I think. And you can feel it when you pull the trigger.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that, to me, that's enough to make me go, yeah, I'm good.
It's all reactionary, right? Like every purchase of these is reactionary. And it's just one of those.
I bet you the people who come into the store and ask for that gun because the Army picked up contract on it couldn't tell you the other guns that were in the running.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's a good point. That's a real good point.
I bet you outside of the Glock 17, they couldn't name another one.
Well, full disclosure, I couldn't. I couldn't tell you what the other two are, or any
that's
of
my
the others
point.
were. Yeah. What, that I'm one of them? You son of a...
Exactly.
It is just an interesting case study of people that we're told something is awesome, and we believe it, and so we go buy it. But we really don't know. And now, look, full disclosure, as you well know, I'm making moves right now to get a Hudson H9. And I don't mean that by making moves like, ooh, let me see what channels I can play. I'm literally trying to sell certain things I own so that I can have $1,200 cash sitting here waiting for whatever store gets one locally, and I can run out and buy one. I've seen it shot. I haven't even handled it yet, but I'm telling you, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. To me, it's a revolutionary design of the way handguns work, and I want one. I want one bad. So I'm willing to go and do that and get on board with it. However, my defense would be I've also read about it, okay? I've watched countless videos on it. I've probably read every word on their website at this point as to why it's going to revolutionize the way handguns are built, and I want to experience that. I want to get in on that. I want to buy the Tesla as it rolls down the line the first time. That's all it is to me. So I kind of get that.
Another good car analogy.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm going to learn them. I get that to an extent, but I don't get the whole, hey, I saw a headline and so I want to buy it now, and I don't understand that, well, it only won because it was cheap. That's my point. It only won because it was cheap. It didn't win because it was the best gun. It won because it was the cheapest, and that's kind of scary.
When the M9 from Beretta won the contract
which I think is a great gun.
In the 80s, it was basically narrowed down to the 226 from SIG and the 92 from Beretta. And the Army went with the Beretta. Shocking, I know.
Right.
Because it was cheaper. So a lot of people are saying, well, this is a little bit of payback. You know, SIG's kind of getting what they missed out on in the 80s.
Isn't that crazy? Because I'll tell you what, the 226 is kind of what every gun should aspire to be in a sense. Like, it's a really, really good gun.
Heavy, over-engineered?
Durable.
Oh, okay.
Durable, works under
really
any
high
conditions.
bore axis.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Go hunt down the SIG video where they demo the 226 and that dude comes up and it's not in the holster. Have you seen that? No. He comes up out of a...
As a habit, I don't really go watch. I don't seek out SIG videos. I know that's going to be a shock to the system.
I'm going to have to kill you. Go to feltrecoilshow.com, click on the blog, and look at this video. They got a guy all decked out in all of his gear, and he comes up out of his dirty pond, and he's going to draw a 226 from his holster and shoot it. Well, when he comes up, it's not there. So he goes back in, he fishes around in the water, pulls it up, and empties it. Tat, 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 tat. That says something really good about a gun. Maybe every other gun in the world can do that. But the fact that you have a promo video showing that that can work, that can happen, that speaks highly for the quality of the gun. Maybe it is over-engineered. It's also a heck of a gun.
In all honesty, I don't disagree with any of your points. I'm just not a SIG fan. Side note, I understand Navy SEALs and MARSOC have both gone to the 19.
Well, if MARSOC does it, then I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Travis Haley told me to.
So they're moving away from various other guns, including SIGs, to go to Glock.
Interesting.
In 9mm.
No, 45 for its knockdown power.
Right.
No caliber knocks anyone down except 45. Did you not know that? How are you even here?
I do.
How are you even here? I mean, obviously, it's either you
got to only make SIGs in 45. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. You only do 45 and then 17 HMR. Those are 2 calibers you need. One of them to survive when it all hits the fan. The other one to knock down the bad guy when he comes in your house. You're an idiot, man. You're going to die soon. Real soon. Okay. Then I'm going to eat your brain. All right, listen, we really want you to get this lower receiver that's sitting next to us. It'll have the Felt Recoil logo and name engraved on one side. It's an Anderson lower. You can grab it for
I'll
free.
sign it if you want me to. Just say the word.
You don't want that. You don't. It can be yours for free. Just go on all the social medias and tag us in your dream rifle. Tell us how you'll build it and tag all the people whose components you would use to build the rifle. We look forward to that. More info at feltrecoilshow.com. And bear in mind, coming soon, we'll have some pint glasses and coffee mugs there for you as well. If you want to show some love, you can grab some of that swag. And we will see you next week for episode number 18 of the Felt Recoil Podcast.